be live. Let me just send out the Discord notification. Woo! Okay. Hello, everyone. I haven't been able to do one of these mirror dungeon chats in a while. It just scheduling is not lined up, and so I've mostly been doing my mirror dungeons on my own. But I had a good time today, and I needed to get my mirror dungeon done before Wednesday anyway. So I figured I'd talk about a topic that is pretty relevant to the most recent Intervallo, as we have gotten slightly more information on Sinclair's sign. Not a huge amount, but something. Actually, hang on. Cancel that. I realize... Oh no, halt exploration. Realize I don't want you. I'm not gonna be using you. Because I want to save the Starlight thing. Cool. Okay. Let me make sure. Yep, all leveled up. Cool. Woo! So, this one's gonna be closer to the side of just me rambling to you, but I will be taking any comments or stuff into account. So, feel free to, if you have anything you want to talk about before the main discussion, let me know. Obviously, there is the Ryoshu ID, which was a big surprise. Did not expect that. I'll talk a bit more about it in a second, but let me... Hello, Dark Door. Let's see. What is... I don't know how long I want this one to go. I'm thinking... What is this? Huh. Neat. That's a new one? I want to take things that are gonna be tough to get without the right thing. Oh, burns. No, nothing too important. I'm probably gonna be picking that up in the actual mirror dungeon. Let me just get a generic one. You know what? Let's... Yeah, that's probably a good one. Boom! Cool. Alright, so, their new Ryoshu ID. Did not expect it this early. I knew it was always possible that they would release it, before all the Nurse Fathers, but I didn't think they would, just because... Unlike Heisho, we have a very defined amount of Nurse Fathers and apprentices. And so I thought they'd get them all out of the way before doing the Capstone ID. I guess not. I guess they will add any interactions onto the Nurse Fathers and apprentices themselves. Or maybe she just doesn't have, like, specific interactions and just gains general buffs from the others. We'll have to see. But let me... Boom, boom, boom. And yes, I have been keeping up with Stars of the City feedback. I have not been, you know, doing many updates recently, but I do intend to get back to it at some point. Alright, I think that's a decent loadout, and just throw you in as backup. Cool. Woo! Yeah, so Ryoshu ID looks interesting. The ideas for her we saw in the original roadmap livestream was pretty interesting. I'm sure she's going to be somewhat overpowered, as capstone IDs tend to be. But I hope she's fun, overpowered, and actually makes things interesting to play with. Yeah. Obviously, yeah. I know it can change, I'm just surprised that it did. I know it can, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to, and the order of the stuff, it looked pretty reasonable, so aside from the whole Mother and Child's Day thing it's got, the release schedule's got going on, I don't see why they would get it out so early. But oh well, not a huge deal. It is a pleasant surprise in some ways. I'm just interested to see how she interacts and what her general concept is. People seem to try and want to, like, really define it as, like, completely an Araya ID, or completely a Nurse Father ID, or completely a failed, House of Spiders, like, project ID. And that... she is all of those. Like, she is, you know, she is our Pinky Nurse Father ID, she is our Raya ID. She is not, you know, meant to represent one concept. Like many IDs, she is a mix of multiple things. What's your prediction on Railway 6? Ooh, interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to get Railway 6 with the new Ryoshu ID, or whether it'll be coming later. I don't expect Threadspin 5 to come out at the same time as the ID. Yeah, those are certainly some ideas for her abilities. Triple Wrath. But yeah. Railway 6. Obviously, based on context clues, we're going to get Sunset Wayfarer in some way. Honestly, that might not be an Abno we directly fight. It might be more of a gimmick fight, where we're maybe fighting alongside it, or maybe fighting something else while it's doing things in the background and having, like, battle effects on the whole battle from the sidelines. So that'll be interesting. I do hope we get to fight both of the big abnormalities in both Battle Pass Egos, not only this season, but last season's too. Yin Long is fantastic, and I want to fight a really big abnormality. I'm also wondering if Yin Long is Aleph. Obviously, the ego he gives is Vav, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he can't be Aleph, and he very much has the sort of vibe I would expect from an Aleph. So, it'd be fun to fight our first Aleph, though they might save that for story. I don't know. Yeah. One. Try blunt. No, nothing good. Boom. There we go. And I'll just save the rest and collect my interest. Cool. Let me know if the game audio is too loud, by the way. I think it should be at a good volume, but we shall see. Okay. Let's complete this floor, and then I'm gonna talk about the actual main subject of this discussion, because I have a lot to say on the sign, including its origin, sort of origins in Damien, and also just the biblical inspiration behind it. Theory that the Sinner's base ego would become Aleph, that's why we ain't getting Aleph ego. not impossible, but I feel like I do think the idea of a enhanced base ego is possible. I personally think it would be more on the side of, like, it's sort of an alternative to corrosion. But I could see it being Aleph versions. I just... yeah, it's possible. I would not be opposed to the idea as our first sort of set of Alephs. Boom. Okay, and there we go. Alright, so... what the hell is the sign? Here, what up? Glad to see you. We are just now starting the main discussion, so you have not really missed anything. So, the sign. As far as we know in Limbus Company, it is a magical thing some people have. If you have it, you can see it on other people, at least sometimes, depending on sort of your level of mastery and whatever. But it is generally very mysterious, and we only have confirmed a confirmed power for one sign, and it seems to be unique for everyone, at least to some degree. Obviously, Sinclair can essentially summon his future self onto himself. And there might be more time manipulation sort of things with that, but we have no actual clue. That is purely speculation. So, really, not a whole lot. We know confirmed that Sinclair has it. We know it's very likely that Dante has it. I would be very surprised if they didn't. And then, obviously, every member of Damien's group and Sonya. And those are all of our confirmed sinners. You think Heathcliff has a sign? Yeah, I'll talk about that when I get to listing off each sinner individually, because I do have some opinions on that. But we can actually, let's see, yeah. We know that, Sonya said several sinners have signs. Technically, that could just mean Sinclair and Dante, but I highly doubt it. But it does mean, at the very least, I think 4 or so. I doubt it's the majority of the sinners, but I do think it is, you know, several beyond just Dante and Sinclair. Yes, I did see Dante's notes on the sign. There might be something from it I'm forgetting, but I think I've generally got the idea, and they speculate about, you know, Damien might be being able to use, like, Mong in a sort of projected way. That might be part of his, and Sanson's might be his sort of theatrical abilities. That's certainly something. But we do have a little information that Damien talks about. Is it Damien or... I don't know. But they refer to things like Sovereigns of the Star, which seems to maybe be their group name, technically. He refers to things like... I think this is Sonya, actually, that says, like, the sign is related to those who are destined to lead, or something like that, which aligns with some of the stuff I'm going to talk about in a bit, relating its more literary origin. We know Rodion doesn't have it. Do we know that Faust doesn't? I suppose she says that it is hard to observe something that they can't see, which, you know, kind of suggests that she's in the can't see camp and therefore, you know, doesn't have it. Technically, I don't think the sign is always visible even to those who do have it. I think the more you awaken to it, the more easily you can see it. But I also still think that regardless, Faust doesn't have it for other reasons. Is the sign something you get ever since you were born, or can someone just manifest it? So... this kind of ties into its more literary and historical origins. In the origins of it, it is, I think, something you are born with. Though, it's weird. It's sort of that, you know, determinism sort of thing, but I think the original intent of it is it does mark you as someone of a lineage, with this sort of symbolism in history, if that makes sense. So I think it's something you're born with, but it's, how do I say this? It's something you're born with only if you are destined to develop it. Like, your future is set out, your future is determined early on, and you are given it based on what you will do. It is not necessarily what you will do based on if you're given it, if that makes sense. Could entirely be wrong. This is just my interpretation. It was confirmed in a mirror ID she didn't, if I recall. Oh, probably who grips Faust? I could see that. That might have been the case. Her talking about something. I don't know. But regardless, I don't think she has it. But I'll get into that a bit more. And so, I think that covers everything we know in Limbus Company. I'm not entirely sure if there's anything else. It's, you know, a lot of esoteric bullshit and vague stuff. Foreshadowing. But there are a couple of details, like the fact that they relate to sort of leadership. That helps us get sort of a vibe on who might have it. But what we can really use to consider who has the sign and how it's going to come into play in the story, that is found in the original literary work. Because the sign is not just some, well, it's you know, very fantasized version of the Mark of Cain, which is a very big plot point in Damien. Oh, hello, Master Zach. I've seen some of your stuff. Anyway. In Damien, Damien himself talks to Sinclair about the Mark of Cain, a biblical mark that sort of distinguishes, they say, like, I don't know if it's direct descendants of Cain, or rather just people who carry on his legacy regardless of bloodline. But it is essentially the mark that was given to Cain after he killed his brother, you know, from the original story of Cain and Abel. Damien, however, has a very different interpretation of the original story. He doesn't believe that the actual Bible story is literal, but rather more of a metaphor. He says that there was a sort of Cain, and that he did kill someone, maybe his brother, maybe not, but that he was not marked because the act was evil, and that in fact he might have been justified, but rather he was marked because people were afraid of him, because people were afraid of his strength, and that he was above other men, and that maybe he should be allowed to, you know, kill people who he deems should be killed. That he should exert his influence into the world and not be ashamed that he is smarter and more capable. And to be clear, this is my interpretation from reading it once. So I have not like dug deep into the literary origins of this. I did like a quick scan through of the Wikipedia page on the Mark of Cain itself and the Cainite sort of religious sects, whatever you want to call it, that may or may not actually exist. Probably not. Yeah, it's sort of a prejudice, but basically the idea that there are some people who are just, who just see the world differently and have a different relation with violence and leadership, and are destined for great things compared to the normal man, and that people are afraid of them because of it. And so Damien says that he has the sign and that Sinclair has the sign, though it's never like a literal mark. In fact, they bring up the idea that it was never a literal physical mark, but rather just a social mark, a taboo of sorts. Tarot theory. I haven't thought of that. Yeah, Rodian's ideology from Crime and Punishment. From what I understand, yes, it is very similar to that, and so that's why it's very fitting and ironic that Rodian does not actually have the sign, and is our only confirmed member to do so. So, what? As Damien and Sinclair get closer, Damien is very much a weird kid. Even when he was very young, he is ready to kill a motherfucker. The original Cromer, who is not, you know, a mass murderer, but rather just a sort of schoolyard bully, Damien basically tells Sinclair, if you want that guy dead, I can kill him. And these guys are like 13 at the oldest, I believe. So, Damien, while he may look very passive and in his Limbus appearance, there is definitely something very violent hiding beneath if he is anything like his book counterpart. But we do sort of, we can use this sort of interpretation of the Mark of Cain, which, by the way, from my understanding, is based around the sort of Canaanite religion, which is a... How do I explain this? It is a historical thing that Christians in the olden days were afraid of. Sort of a story about a cult that worshipped, you know, Cain from the Bible and had very similar ideas to what was described before. But that group probably did not exist, at least not in the way that it was described and got around in, you know, the old Christian circles. So it was essentially a boogeyman cult that people were afraid of back in the day. So, but that is sort of the historical and literary context. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? Have any of you read the book and have any more insights to give on that? Yeah, there are a lot of theories to be made about the mark / the sign. And I can only get through so much in one day, even just after all the thinking I've done about it. There is so much. But what we can do is we can use this original historical context, as well as how it's described in Damien, to approximate what Kim Ji-hoon is going for in who has the sign. So, what do we know about the sign? One, it is explicitly confirmed to be about leadership. People who have the sign are destined to be good leaders, whether it be directly through, like, leading a group of soldiers, which, honestly, I think every sinner in Limbus Company will have to do in Purgatorio, but that's for another discussion. But also, it might just refer to leaving a strong influence on the world as a whole. Just exerting yourself and being unafraid to sort of leave your impact, which is very similar to ego, and we can get into the exact distinctions between them at another time. But I also think that a propensity towards violence is also an important thing for the sign, and a willingness to kill while also not being like a violent mass murderer. And that sort of comes from the from Damien's interpretation of the Mark of Cain is, you know, someone who killed, maybe he had a good reason, maybe he didn't, and was branded for it. And so, Mark of Cain should go to people who have a strong willingness to commit violence to achieve their goals, but not necessarily do violence for violence sake. Up in the Discord call about this? Not tonight. This is just me going through my own thoughts right now, but we could talk about a potential getting in a call at some other point. I am open to a collab. So, I've talked about leadership, I've talked about violence. The final idea is, I forget who says this, whether it was Damien or Sonia, but people who have the mark see the world in a very different way. They see the truth of the world, I think is something along the lines of what he said. So it should be someone who has a very unique view of the world. So those three things: a unique perspective on the world, a propensity towards violence without being too crazy about it, and the ability to lead, or at the very least, provide such a shining example that people will follow regardless. So, who among the sinners could have that? I am going to go down the list. We have 12 sinners to get through, essentially 11 because we know, or 10 because we know one of them has it, one of them doesn't have it. Boom. 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 Cool. So, let's start with our little boy, Yi-Sang. Yi-Sang does have sort of a unique perspective on the world, being someone who is, one, extremely intelligent, and two, regularly peers across the mirror and understands the functions of the branching worlds. However, he is not much of a leader. I do think he will get character development in this regard to some degree, but he is still ultimately a follower. He is not someone who wants to really exert themselves on the world, but rather someone who more so wants to appreciate what they have in the world, the friends and stuff he's made. And he wants to write poetry and make inventions, and will leave a mark, but I do not think as that sort of leadership. And also, violence. He has a very poor relation with violence. He is not himself good at it, and is only really learning through the bullshit that the LCD is able to pull through identities and leveling tickets and stuff like that. And yeah, Yi-Sang probably does not have the sign. And in a very similar sense, Faust. There was some discussion earlier about whether Faust is confirmed to not have it or not. I'm going to disregard that, though my conclusion is not going to be much different, because much like Yi-Sang, Faust is smart, does have a different outlook on the world, but she is very much not a leader. She is basically the definition of a follower, as she is following the Gesellschaft and its rules to the, well, not to the letter. She's clearly struggling with keeping up with what they want and all that, but she is not that kind of leader that I would expect to have the sign, nor does she have the violence aspect covered at all. So, our science lads, no. Don Quixote. I think she has a good chance compared to the others we've gone through so far. She has the violence aspect covered, being a blood fiend who, you know, has to kill people to survive. Even if she does not necessarily want to, she has that aspect down pat. She sees the world. She doesn't have, like, a super crazy, like, view of the world, but she does have the lens of both, you know, the experienced and practical Sancho persona that she had as she was when she was younger, and now the newer Don Quixote persona that she has cultivated herself and essentially chooses to see the world through kinder eyes, even if she knows that that's not necessarily how it is. And that is a very interesting philosophy, and gives her a lot of wisdom that can be related to the sign. So she's got the violence, and she's got the wisdom. What she does kind of lack is the leadership, as while she has had, like, a sort of leadership role being, sort of, you know, Papa Don's second in command, she is not someone who really wants to take care of people directly, if that makes sense. She's all for heroism and stuff, but she does not have the desire to stick around and be bound by someone she is obligated to take care of. However, as we have seen in, you know, the LCB checkup, she has that overwhelming need to essentially spread the family out. If she does not do that, she cannot access her Blood Fiend powers safely. The hunger will consume her at some point if she does not have kindred. And so despite the fact that she does not want it, she is going to be forced into that position at some point. Particularly probably when the war starts. And so, while she does not have it yet, I believe she will be essentially fantastic leader and essentially mother, regardless of if she, you know, necessarily wants it or not. It is an unfortunate thing that she is going to have to deal with, and so that has her having all three counts. I'm still not fully sold on if she does actually have it, but she is a very good contender to have it. And as Zach is pointing out, she does have a star in her center logo. And the sovereigns of a star are, you know, the sign-related faction. So, same with the other sinners who have a corresponding sovereign of a star. Wait, is that the case? Do all the others have a star in their logo? I'm gonna have to check that out, actually. Thank you for that, Zach. That could very much change my opinion on some things, but oh well. Hopefully I'll come to the same conclusion just logicking it out. But yeah, very strong contender. As to what her sign could possibly do, it is hard to tell. And Claire's is obviously related to growth, with, like, you know, bringing in a version of him that has grown. So if Don Quixote is to get one, I mean, it would be, you know, charging forth or maybe having a dream, but how would that translate to an actual ability? That is hard to tell, but it would likely be maybe some sort of support ability, maybe the ability to, like, bring imagination to life and allow everyone around her to be the hero they see themselves as? Maybe. Who knows? Those could be some interesting ideas for an ability. Ishmael to Rim, Dawn to Sanson, Merceau to the Sun. Interesting. I'm not entirely sold on Ishmael being Rim's counterpart, but at the very least, he does appear in the Kanto, so there is a justification to be made for it, so interesting. And then, yeah, so we've gone through Dawn, so next would be Ryoshu. Alright, Ryoshu does have that sort of wisdom aspect that we talked about, specifically in her relation to time. You know, she has all the whole stuff with the Sangria and all that too, but I think her time relationship is a bit more important. Particularly from my interpretation, I think that if she does have a sign power that is related to it, whether it's a direct result, one is a direct result of the other, or if they simply appear that way because it is sort of fitting for them to interact, if they're two separate powers. Who knows? But I think that the time aspect is very important. And then violence, obviously, she has a propensity towards violence, but has enough restraint to not go all out. That is very important. She uses violence in her everyday life, and does enjoy it to a degree, but does not do so senselessly. She, has that ability to hold back. So that is, 2 counts for her. And then leadership. Leadership was a bit of an odd one before the latest Kanto. You could definitely tie it to, like, her motherhood and her being able to take care of children. That could definitely count as leadership stuff. But now we have a bit of a more direct idea of leadership and what she could lead with her artistic movement. She has made it clear that she intends to create an artistic movement, and a movement does not involve one person. She would have to take in students. She would have to take in others to follow in her ideals, and also follow them up with their own interpretations. And so that would be what she is leading. So, yeah, looking through chat, yep. They're mostly just responding to things I've already talked about, so... I think... if she... like I said, if she does have a sign, it is likely related in some way to her time perception powers, and potentially time manipulation. We have also seen, like, Araya herself is... Araya herself is very blue, and definitely lines up with Damien's group. She does not have, like, a direct connection yet, but it is definitely possible in the future. So... in some way, her time manipulation powers are probably related to a sign. It is not, like, I wouldn't stake my life on it, but it's definitely a strong possibility. And I think that's all I want to talk about for Ryoshu. Obviously, her sign ability would, as I've said, be related to her time abilities, whether it be purely perception or be able to take a more active effect in it, who knows. Ryoshu's sign would replicate the index beeper. Interesting, you're gonna have to elaborate on that, because I don't see exactly how that would work, or tie into her own story, beyond, the obvious connection with the nurse father, but I'm willing to hear you out. So, that brings us to Marcel. So, Marcel. He obviously has a degree of violence. He, killed someone, might have been his mother in this world based on the trailer stuff for him. But at the very least, he is well known for killing a guy because the sun was in his eyes. And that, I believe, to some degree, fits with the Mark of Cain. It's a bit more random violence than I would like for the idea, but obviously he sort of has his own perception of things and view on the world, which both ties into his justification as to why he did it, and also serves as, more of a degree of connection to the sign. He very much has his own, like, absurdism takes on the world, and sort of how it treats people, how people treat the world, how people treat each other, stuff like that. And the idea of leadership is the only problem I have with Merceau having the sign, but that can be sort of reinterpreted as someone who is essentially paving the way for others, not by intent, but rather by existing as himself to such a crazy and revolutionary degree that it inspires others just by his very presence. And it is because of that that I think he is a strong contender for the sign. He likely, if he does have the sign, would be someone who would probably challenge Damien's ideas of what it means to have the sign. That he is not someone who wants to exert his will on others, but rather wants to exert his will on himself and do things as he is to do, and if anyone tries to stop him and get in the way, only then does he sort of try and exert that influence. So his sign would probably be more of a defensive sort of thing. Like something to grant maybe immunity to the effects of certain crazy effects, like mind control, or resisting other people's sign abilities. Stuff like that. Something that allows him to stay unambiguously himself and be unyielding to anyone else. So, we will see more of that in Merceau's Canto. Maybe he'll just get straight up a sign awakening moment there. Maybe it'll be hinted at, or maybe it will just fly under the radar and we'll look back in another couple of years and realize, hey, wait, there was foreshadowing here. Anyway. Yeah, that's my opinions on Merceau. Which brings us to Hong Lu. Hong Lu, when it comes to his perception of the world, he is sort of still developing his perception, but he very much is set up to be someone who is very wise and has his own thoughts on action versus inaction. I mean, we had that whole Jiachu segment of, you know, what is your answer, Hong Lu? And he is very much set up as someone who is still developing his opinions and his beliefs, but very much is set to be a very wise character as it continues. And so, violence. He is definitely not someone who likes violence, but he is also not someone to shy away from it. I mean, we saw how experienced he is in duels. We, you know, get a lot of, you know, him talking about how often he trained and what his family put him through. So he is very much desensitized to violence, and while it is not his preferred method, he is absolutely willing to throw hands. And finally, leadership. While he is someone who has, you know, rejected the idea of, you know, leading Hong Yuan on his own, he is someone who is also sort of set up to be quite impactful to Hong Yuan as a whole. Not only with his sister trusting him and being in the highest position in the wing, but also just generally... how do I say? His Lord Liu also gives a lot of credence to his leadership abilities, even if that is a mirror world version of him. I think there's a little bit to be learned from that. Boop. Get you for more envy. Nice. Nice. Let's get... Is there any more blunt stuff I can grab? I think the knuckles are actually from the... I'm sorry, it was the other Intervallo. That's what I'm thinking of. Twining threads. Yeah. Hong Lu forehead theory? Are you being serious? Is that like a theory that, like, I haven't seen Hong Lu's base sprite, let me pull it up for myself, but does he have a big ol' forehead for a sign to appear on? Hang on. Lu. He has a covered forehead, which, yeah, I could see his hair parting ways like Sinclair did to reveal a sign. That could be interesting. Dev's, yeah, very... His hair is very conspicuously covering his forehead. Okay, no, an inside bit? Cool. But I could still see it in his character design. But, yeah. So that's about half the sinners, though, actually a bit more, since we have two of them confirmed. But, Ishmael. No, wait, it's Heathcliff first. Heathcliff. Yeah. Dark Door, honestly, in some ways, says it himself. Heathcliff is just Heathcliff, he just has the power of Wild Hunt, and that's it. Very potentially. However, I do want to give him a fair shot. So, violence. Definitely. Right now he has, well, not necessarily right now, but in his past he definitely had a bit too much propensity towards violence. He went way in the other direction. But nowadays he is, you know, still quick to throw hands, but a bit more on the reasonable side, and willing to do so more for just causes. And then a view of the world. He is simplistic in a way that is very effective. He doesn't overcomplicate things. He gets right to the core of the matter. He is by no means dumb. He just, you know, keeps things simple. And that very much could count as the sort of sign, seeing things as they are sort of thing, but could very well also go against it depending on how Kim Ji-hoon interprets it. So, and then we finally have leadership, and Heathcliff is set to be a very notable leader as sort of the leader of the Wild Hunt, potentially called the Earl King, though it's not entirely clear whether those two terms are like completely connected or just happen to line up for that exact instance, but whatever the case, he is set to command an army of the dead at some point. So we very much know he is meant to be a leader whether he knows it or not. But at the same time, Wild Hunt is very much its own thing that is connected to the rivers. We don't know how connected they are overall. They might very much be, you know, maybe the sign and the rivers are very connected in every aspect, and it is, you know, one and the same. Or maybe they're completely different, and they have no relation to each other. It is hard to tell. But regardless, Heathcliff very much has his own abilities going for him. I do not see necessarily a storytelling need of making it the sign as well, but I am not also opposed to it. So I give him a 50-50. He very much could have it. You think the power of the Wild Hunt is a sign ability, or the ring is a relic with the ability? I've heard the ring theory. I don't fully buy it. I think it's not impossible, but the river clearly is sort of the main thing connecting the Wild Hunt to Heathcliff. I think that's pretty clear. The river down there under the manor is very much related to death, and so for it to, you know, give him an ability to raise the dead makes sense. That could be through a relic. As we know, Levitain was found in a flaming river, so could be that the ring is, you know, the origin of that river, or at least the associated relic. So it is absolutely not impossible, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be connected in that regard, if that makes sense. But Ishmael. We've had a little bit of talks about Ishmael, especially with her not really having much of a story arc past her Kanto. I have, you know, opinions on where that might lead in the future, but a sign is definitely an interesting idea. And we do have a good bit of evidence. Violence. She is a whale hunter. She absolutely can throw down with anyone who she wishes. She very much goes on a violent streak in her kanto. And in terms of leadership, she is often positioned as the sort of secondary leader of the sinners, despite the fact that they don't really want to listen to her. When the topic of second in command comes up, Ishmael's one of the main contenders, even above Otis. She is someone sort of shown to help people figure themselves out, after she sort of learned her things, and also she is, you know, very much the kind of person to make sure everyone's prepared before a big mission, stuff like that. Main thing is, a way of seeing the world. Obviously, she does have, her, okay. An ally has stratum. Okay, yeah. Cool. Let's use something that's actually going to apply to our... boom. Boom. Cool. Anyway. What was I saying? Ishmael. Ooh. Oh, I do. Yeah. Ishmael. Her way of seeing things, her wisdom aspect of it, that is sort of the weakest link. She is very much discovering herself, and she did go through the whole my compass is curiosity development back in her kanto, but it's still, I am not fully convinced that she has that sort of wisdom. Maybe she's developing it as things go on, but she still very much seems materialistic, not in that she's like greedy for even necessarily money, but just for like status and stuff like that. She is very much cared about her position within Limbus Company, her ability to, you know, get better jobs in the future, her resume, and that very much does not seem like a sort of wisdom that is required for the sign. But she's still developing. She could come to have some other more complex desire in the future. Obviously, she does value like her own freedom and ability to make decisions and stuff. So there is a bit there. It's just unclear exactly to what degree is required for the sign, if it's even required at all. This is all still speculation, of course, but in any case, we get to Rodion, and we know she does not have a sign, which, as we sort of talked about earlier, is very ironic, given her character in the original book and his sort of philosophy of, you know, the strong shall conquer and stuff like that. She very much is someone you would think would have the sign, because she is generally portrayed as being very competent, with a strong ability to commit violence, while not being a particularly violent person in her day-to-day life, only in specific scenarios when she thinks some motherfucker has to go down. She might actually be a good leader. I feel like she is sort of set up to potentially take a position of leadership. She often is shown in her identities to be very good at that sort of thing. But what seems to be her main stopping point is her philosophy sort of aspect, her understanding, her wisdom, which is not great. She very much is, you know, the hothead we know, who is very concerned about how others perceive her, and her perceiving herself as being, you know, she wants to be a hero, almost like Don Quixote, but she's not really willing to consider others, which is, you know, a very big part of being a hero. And so that's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? But disqualifying her from having a sign. So, a lot of interesting stuff there. Boom. Okay. Going to chat. Rodion is probably the most unspecial sinner, and that's how she's special. Yeah. She is very much going to be our normal person character in Limbus going forward, and that's how we're going to sort of, when the war starts, connect to all of the normal people. And that's how I think she's going to be important. You want to believe everyone except Rhodia can manifest Mark? Because that's funny. It is, yes. Weird question. How is R-Corp still operational? I think about it, they made 2 Mios and sent both of them into the library. The 2 then got out, and there's been more than 7 days since Runa. Where is my Mio? I'm assuming that the 7 days timer sort of stopped when, you know, they got booked, because there technically sort of isn't 2 Mios at the same time. There's 2 books of Mio, but a book of Mio is not necessarily Mio for the purposes of the cloning rule, and so the timer will probably only start again when both Mios are released into the world. Which might be, I could see it being like a future intervallo. That could be interesting. Boom. Intervallo or small plot point in the Kanto. Anyway, on to the next sinner. After Rodion is Dante. Dante pretty clearly has the sign, even if it's not technically confirmed. Because obviously they can see it. Now it might technically be more of an ability of their clock and their other abilities that just lets them see it even without having it, but they probably have it. They fit all the criteria, including propensity for violence, because old Dante was very aggressive and mean, and had no trouble killing motherfuckers. And even this Dante has no trouble ordering the deaths of his enemy, or their enemies at this point, so. And then Sinclair. Not much to say there. Most of what we know of the sign is from Sinclair, so there's not much to elaborate on. His sign is related to his growth. He has growth-related abilities. Growth is his whole theme. Bada bing, bada boom. He is still very much developing the stuff that will sort of retroactively justify his sign. His propensity towards violence, he can obviously be very violent in some of his IDs and in some of his moments interacting with people like Cromer. So, as for his unique outlook, we haven't gotten much of that, but there's a lot in the original Damien book we can talk about. I want to, at some point, maybe do more of a deep dive on the Damien book specifically, but I do want to mention at least the organ player who Sinclair meets, who I think will be an important character in Limbus. And how they talk about their ideas, their sort of religion, and their beliefs about the sign and all that. So, that I feel is a separate discussion topic. But it is worth at least mentioning quickly. And then, after that, is Otis. Otis is interesting. Violence and leadership are both very much her thing. I don't think I need to elaborate on that. She is a military commander. She is Odysseus. That is very much her thing. However, I don't know about the idea of her having a unique outlook or wisdom or perception of the world. We have not seen much from her in that regard, though she does keep her actual true thoughts close to her chest. So what she actually thinks about things may be very different from what she shows. But I feel like she is generally a lot more... She's too practically minded, too focused on what's right in front of her and the, tactics of the war. How are we going to survive? How are we going to defeat the enemy? That she doesn't really have the introspection to look within and sort of figure out the greater ways of the world. Too practically minded. I could be proven entirely wrong. I also have not read the Odyssey yet. I've been meaning to get around to it. But I think she does not have the sign. But I am open to the idea that I am wrong in that regard. And Gregor very much does not like violence, even if he committed a lot of it during the war. Very much opposed to fighting, especially in regards to his bug arm. He just does it because he has to. He is not much of a leader, even if he is technically the Roach Emperor. It is not a position that he in any way wants, and is very much trying to avoid. And he does not essentially consider it him. And he also does not have much of a unique outlook on life beyond a lot of self-pity. So I very much do not think he has the sign. I don't think that requires much explanation. He very much does not fit any of the criteria. I'm open to anyone who wants to prove me wrong, but I think it's going to be a tough convincing. So, I know it's weird since I read the Odyssey, but ever since Dawn was revealed to not be Dawn, I don't think she's Odysseus. It's definitely a potential, especially since she's not even technically calling herself Odysseus in the first place. It's not even like a, oh, he's not the person she says she is, but it would be more of a, oh, we assumed wrong, and we were sort of intentionally misled by the game rather than by the character. There's definitely a aspect of that hidden identity that can confuse things, muddle the waters. But I ultimately am going to consider her to be Odysseus until we get evidence otherwise, because nothing else quite fully works. Telemachus, maybe. Penelope, I don't really see. There's not too much difference to me, and I don't see why she would be out and about with her role in the original story being very much the person to come back to. So I could see her being like the daughter of the actual Odysseus, much like Don Quixote was, but ultimately I am going to consider her as Odysseus until proven otherwise. Yeah, also, has she met her equivalent of Circe yet? Interesting idea. I'm interested to see how Circe is adapted in Project Moon, if they do that. Yeah, Odysseus in the book fits the sign to a T. That does kind of make sense, from what I know of Odysseus, which is why it's a little surprising that Otis does not feel like she fulfills those requirements. But... yeah. Alright, Puncher. Smackdown. He could also be Ulysses, which is, you know, same person, different variation of the name. Really doubt Otis isn't Odysseus because the only person she could be outside of that makes way more sense than know anyone else with the stories she's talking about and the division Moses mentions. Yeah. Yeah. There is too much that makes Otis feel like she is Odysseus based on other characters' reactions to her and other little details we've seen. So, it is possible, but I would not count on it that she is not who she seems. Dante could be the Cyclops? Interesting. That's... yeah, I could see it. Definitely is a very different interpretation of what a lot of people have said, but it is not out of the question. I'm just considering how would that work thematically. Interesting. I'll keep that in the back of my mind for later. God, I do love how satisfying the middle animations are. I've been talking about my gameplay much, but god, they are fun. Anyway, I think I have talked about just about everything I wanted to. So at this point, I think I'm gonna continue this run, probably not to floor 15, but maybe see if we can get to at least floor 10 or so. I think Ryoshu will shine in Otis' Kanto because Odysseus is a story of man versus gods, and the only gods in the city we've seen so far are the fingers, and I would love to face some high rankings. And who knows, perhaps Arashiki is unleashed against someone. Yeah, interesting how index-focused Otis' character has turned out to be. Especially now that we know that at least some of the sources of the prescripts are based on the Greek gods. I do not think Otis was necessarily an Index member, in that she was like, you know, a proselyte or a proxy. I do, however, think that she essentially lived in Index-controlled territory, in an Index-associated sort of life. And that she was eventually delivered prescripts to lead her to certain things. So, not like an official member, but someone who is still bound by the prescripts nonetheless. You think Otis is a former color fixer? I don't quite think so, especially since, I believe it was stated Otis mostly is superior, said to be superior to Ryoshu just because more on the side of like general experience and tactical ability rather than her actual physical prowess. I think they're stated to be roughly the same. So I do not quite think color fixer, but definitely high-ranking commander in the army. Okay. Ooh. I like that. What is this? Max burn potency plus 11. Interesting. I have not seen that. That new. How new is that? Okay. Well, I quite like this one, unfortunately, but... Otis's watch could be a device to give her prescripts. Yeah, probably. That seems to be the general consensus when talking about that association. Though, I think there is something a bit more to it than that, just because... I do think it is where she gets her connection to Athena, or whatever her equivalent of Athena is. But I think there is something a bit more to it, and a bit more personal, if that makes sense. Something that connects her to, you know, her Penelope. Whoever that may be. Please, Kim Ji-hoon, give us lesbian Otis. Boom. Let Otis be gay. Okay. Information card. Or employee card. Why did it thinking? Boom. Oh, I was thinking note information button. That's why information came to mind. You've been recognized. Note information button. Your days are numbered.
당장 집행해주지.
Woo! Yeah, so at this point, I do not have much to talk about regarding the sign. I think I've gotten everything I wanted to mention. Oh god. Oh no, I'm going to corrode. I'm going to corrode so bad. Oh my god. What would be Otis's capstone ID? Ooh. I think it would be less of the type of capstone that's like taking the villain's place, and more of, you know, the sort of one who grips Sinclair, or like the new well, no, I wouldn't fucking say that, but an ID that embodies essentially the bad end of the sinners, as it's generally referred to as a bad end ID by the community. An Otis whose life went so differently that she ended up being the worst version of herself. That is sort of, I feel, the inevitable outcome. Okay. So, I think that's gonna be more of her side, like, you know, Otis in her prime when she was, you know, a big general or commander or whatever. I need a cough drop. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna get a cough drop and use the restroom. Everyone stay hydrated. Take care of yourself.
이제는 알겠지. 중지에게 걸리면 반드시 당한다.
Okay. Otis being a color explains her connections to the Index Smoke War, and a bit more subtle things like her comment referring to herself, perhaps she lost her rank. None of that really screams color fixer to me. Nothing about her really feels like fixer-y. She's not like a mercenary being hired out, nor is she like some lone wolf like most color fixers are shown to be. She is a commander, she is a leader. She is someone in the military who really gives a damn about hierarchy, and that's... While fixers do have their own sort of hierarchy, it's more of a meritocracy and ranking system rather than like an actual full hierarchy. And so, that probably is not the case. Otis probably used to be part of the Ujat? I thought so originally, but I think some of the stuff in the latest Kanto sort of feels like it's leaning away from that. I definitely think she is Ujat adjacent. Like we know she was fighting for the same side as DS. So I do think whatever group she was part of is also DS connected, but I do not think it was Ujat directly. Yeah, also if she was a colored, Don would probably recognize him. Obviously there are, you know, potential exceptions like how Roland had his perception blocking mask. That could explain like sort of a disguise, but I highly doubt she was a color fixer. I don't even think she was color fixer level. She was definitely high level, definitely. But more in the way like probably below the Nurse Fathers, but still on a sort of comparable level. Like she could go toe-to-toe with the Nurse Fathers, though she would never beat them. At least not without crazy strategies or whatnot. Maneuvers. Yeah, Otis more of a player than a fighter, yeah. She had a lot of influence, and was probably a pretty solid fighter herself, but that was not where her main expertise lies. I agree in that regard. Yeah. I mean, we definitely know she made some sort of decisive weapon, which seems to be her Trojan horse. She did something that helped win the war, but also caused a lot of destruction when it did. Boom. 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 Ton protection, what's that? Hardly know her. Nice, okay. Same level as Vespa going off Ryoshu and Sancho's level? I don't fully buy it. Like I said before, I'm pretty sure she was stated to be pretty comparable to Ryoshu. And she only has the edge in like tactical stuff, so she's probably closer to like actual Muga Ryoshu, like level 70, was it? 75? So definitely strong, but not I don't buy that she's Vespa strong. Isn't Vespa also higher level than Sancho? So that wouldn't even be correct. Because Sancho is confirmed stronger than even Prime Otis. By what sounds like a pretty considerable margin. I think Otis will be Z or O Corp? I'd see it. We have no idea what Z Corp is, but I think essentially exploring a crazy, weird part of the city could definitely be sort of a Odyssey type thing of, you know, uncharted waters or whatever. O Corp also, we don't know too much. O for Odysseus, though, somewhat fitting. Isn't Vespa like 87? I want to say. She's R-Corp related, then we'll see Mio there. Yeah. I expect her to be generally Smoke War related, possibly including R-Corp, but I would not count on R-Corp being like a particularly big part of it. You swear Vespa's 80? I can double check. Vespa. Assist unit. He is described as 87. Yep, level 87. So, just under the sort of soft maximum we've seen of level 90. Okay. You were thinking of certain Sinclair after checking the wiki? Yeah. Easy mistake to make. Yeah. Okay, let's just focus on this guy. Ballerina. Fuck you. Die. Yeah. I'll talk about this more when I get into what I think the future of Limbus Company will be. I think we're going to cap out at level 80, and we won't get any more levels after that, or at the very least they'll be fed like one max level at a time. And then what will happen is we'll be maxed out at level 80, most enemies will max out at level 90, and that will allow us to still get use out of Morositas and also have, you know, threatening enemies without also being completely overwhelmed by everything the city has to throw at us. Paradiso will probably hit level 100 eventually, but I think soft cap of 80 for most of the game is there. Because Morositas has to remain useful beyond just the 3-level boost yet. Certain Sinclair I don't think is actually a color. I think he just has a color-like nickname. You know, people hold him in the same regard they do a color, but he is not necessarily a color fixer himself. Having a color-like name does not make one a color. Being a color requires, you know, the certification and also, you know, being a fixer. But, yeah. Being a color is also not necessarily a measure of strength, though, you know, only strong people are going to be able to achieve the color standing, but, yeah. Like I said, people regard him in the same way they do a color as being a legendary figure, which is why he is given sort of that nickname, but I do not believe that he is, in technicality, a color fixer. Stand by level 80 Otis, because the ability gap would allow for Ryoshu to be comparable. Yeah, it's not out of the question. But I think more level 75 is a fair spot to put her at. Oh. They're meant to be pretty similar. But it's all just silly number power scaling. Is ultimately not the most important thing about Limbus. Level power scaling does matter to a degree, but only so much.
않은 예술은
Yeah, we really don't know too much about the certain Sinclair. He is, you know, ominous foreshadowing man. So, can only guess. Okay. You know, interesting gift. Boom. Ooh. Could be nice. You have some ring faction dudes. Or check up. Not much gain there. What can I get from the Paxer? Anything interesting? Collectible. We have that. And cultivation don't really. No. Raymond could be a middle member? Maybe, but that's just kind of assigning roles based on aesthetics. Absolutely not impossible, but I also don't see too much to back it up, other than the general idea of him being like a pimp, and the middle having that sort of aesthetic. But if you have anything beyond that to comment on, I'm absolutely willing to hear it. Oh, you tried out Stars of the City. How did it go? Glad to hear it. I'm looking to make some more Stars of the City updates at some point. I just need to, I want to wrap up some other side projects before I get back into it, because those are taking up a bit of my energy. The opinion was generally good, the problems, the players did say something interesting. I'm listening. You need the middle to lose aura. Fair enough. Should clarify some character creation basics. Interesting. What specifically was the problem? Okay, anyway. Boom. There is a tie that I could get there. Well, then there's the trumpet there. Any other crazy gifts? Okay. Yeah, let's do textbook. Let's see if we can claim that. Skill creation is long and complicated, I am aware. It is just kind of generally going to be like that, but once you get used to it, it goes by pretty smoothly. You just need someone who is already well versed in it, which, you know, is itself a problem, but... Buff Thorns? Yeah. Thorns was never truly designed to be a main status, but I do want it to be somewhat viable. Problem is, it is one of those statuses that is, you know, potential status. It could go crazy under certain circumstances, but you're generally not going to meet those circumstances. But I don't want Thorns. I've heard a lot of discussion on like Thorns only having at scene end. I'm not 100% against it, but I would like to try and find a more interesting sort of Thorns cycle and Thorns playstyle to figure out before I do something quite that drastic. So it is within the realm of possibility, but something I want to avoid if I can. side be added as a manifest option once we learn more about it in Limbus? Potentially, but that very much requires the direction Limbus goes with it. Said that you can make some basic skills for quick creation. Yeah, I will eventually make much higher level bosses at some point, but I have barely been able to test low level play in the system, much less high level play, so. Bonkum bonkum bonkum. Oh. Yeah, at this point we're mostly just going through Mirror Dungeon. Ooh. Such excitement. Very well. Alright. You've been wanting to try out Stars of the City, just have no idea how or where to check it out? Well, there's a Discord to get you started. Link in the description. Finding groups can be pretty hard, even with the looking for group, just because, you know, DMs are at a premium. Not many people want to run, everyone wants to play. But, check it out for sheets. There are some sheets listed in the main sort of starting tab on the document. And there are some options. There's the official one, which is honestly not the best version. I think True Queen of Rose is the one that I would recommend to most players. There is also a Foundry module if you are experienced with Foundry. If you are not, don't worry about it. It's not necessary. It's just pretty cool. What are some of your favorite Stars of the City homebrews you've seen? I think, obviously, I'm not gonna, like, crazy sing anyone's praises because of, you know, I don't want to choose between my children, but I will say Tsuchigumo's was an early one that I was really impressed with. Had a lot of content, and a good bit of it felt pretty vanilla, so you can actually see a lot of that in the guide now, scattered throughout various content. I have talked about maybe doing a homebrew review, allowing people to submit their own homebrew that they've created. But, yeah. I don't want to talk about homebrew too much unless it's going into the book, just because I don't want to, you know, feel too biased towards or against certain members of the community. And I don't want to give, like, uninvited, you know, critique of people who are just, you know, trying to throw things out for fun. But if I can set up a good space for people to submit just shorter homebrews that they're, like, really proud of, and review those, I might do so. Oh, there we go. Nice. The only dead sheet is EGB plus Dark Doors. Because you updated to 0.7. True of Rose didn't update hers. I forget exactly what needs to be updated between those versions. I think it was mostly inventory and stuff. Interesting, I thought she did update. Could have sworn. Maybe I was thinking of 0.6. Yeah, did I say 1.7? I meant 0.7. I always make that mistake. I don't know why. My brain just gravitates towards ones instead of zeros.
병력을 서서히 구성해야 하며 불가피하다면 수식을 세우는 것이 착합니다.
I don't know too much about the BLB stuff. I will say, don't be an asshole about that. It's ultimately just fun homebrew, and if you don't like it, don't use it. But you are allowed to critique things, just, you know, don't be an asshole. Oh, milestones! She didn't update milestones. Gotcha. That's right. Yeah, I've been avoiding updates so long, I've kind of forgotten some stuff of the system. I do need to get back to it, and I think having taken this break for such a while before 1.0 will ultimately be good for me in figuring things out, but it also understandably has its downsides.
이거 분강 맞지? 야! 필살! 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램!
Oh, Tangerine Soda says they just grabbed a few of their IRLs that had some interest in Project Moon or the themes within it, and now you play bi-weekly. That's cool. It is always crazy to hear that people are, you know, actually playing my system regularly. The first time I found out someone was doing that was with my Fire Emblem stuff, and that just blew me away, because I had avoided touching it for a while and came back, and when I did, someone commented, hey, I've actually, you know, played this conversion before, this setting guide, I really liked it, and I appreciate getting more content for it, and I was blown away. Because I figured everyone would just read it, be like, oh my god, I want to play this someday, and then never do. Yeah, I've heard various novelty knickknacks is good. I have looked through it a bit. A lot of it is not necessarily stuff that I would put in vanilla, but I'm glad it is out there. Got jump scared by Fire Emblem. Yeah. Yep, if you're interested in Stars of the City, you can also check out my Fire Emblem thing I did. I don't know if it's linked anywhere on the channel, but if you look up Saint Index Guide to Fodlan, it is very specifically a Three Houses Fodlan setting for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Yeah, I have no interest in going past Aleph, but thank you for the suggestion anyway. Alright. Boy, I love going through trash mobs. So fun! I am having great time! Ooh, that is damage. Why are you taking damage? Why would you do that to yourself? Oh my goodness. How could you? Alright. Yeah, I do intend to make an ammo and sort of singleton slash faith slash index expansion after 1.0, and then past level 20 stuff is very much still in the theoretical. It might happen, it might not. That is like the last thing on the list of potential things that could happen. I have forgotten to use my shit. I don't need that. You. Oh, you did not give me what I wanted. What the fuck is... Okay. Yeah, D&D has the legendary boon system you could take inspiration for. Yeah, it would probably be something a little closer to that than, like, an actual continuation to the leveling chart. Stuff that you can take continuously that will make you slightly stronger, but is not quite as crazy as the actual main level. Are there plans for Abno pages or Golden Resonance Morositas or an equivalent? Not necessarily. The original system for Ego actually was closer to Abnormality pages, and it kinda sucked, so I got rid of it. There might be new interesting ways to play with certain effects that may resemble Abno pages through things like feats and stuff like that, but Abno pages directly, no. I remember this is actually buffed. Let's grab that.
야음을 틈타.
웃기는 자식. 끝나고 나서 고래구이 파티를 열어주겠다고 하니 의욕이 좀 났나?
라다다다다. No, I haven't made a video on the Foundry for Stars of the City. I should introduce that properly to the channel. Because, like, everyone knows it exists in the Discord and it's linked in the actual thing, but showing people how it actually works could be very useful. I should consider that. Have a nice dinner, Tomas. Glad to have you here while you work. Blur. Blurb. Get fish. Oh my god, I just looked over at how much envy resources I have.
적의 날개를 꺾었구나.
그래, 딱 반쯤 죽여버려. 13조 2항에 맞추려면 그게 체격이지.
Get punched.
예상한 것보다 움직임이 더
Assign and manifest expansion? Maybe, but... There wouldn't be much of a difference between Limbus and Ruina Ego. Honestly, the system currently is kind of a combination of both. But design, definitely something I'm considering, but we need to know a lot more about it. I mean, I barely even know enough to make Shin and Mon, even just trying my hand at it, so... Yeah, I would not count on it.
총원, 조명이 전멸하는 저곳으로 파도가 모든 것을 쳐부술 거다.
It's also the question of, is the sign something that needs its own mechanic? Or is it something that should just be sort of integrated into your normal kit, like a lot of things are? Does it need to be distinct?
마지막으로 남길 말?
정치 벗어날 수 없다.
I'm getting hungry. It wasn't that long ago I had dinner. Huh. I must just not have eaten enough.
정치
Like a red Mr. Zhao ego? Oh, yeah. Yeah, more manifesting ego. Gotcha. Yeah, I do want to figure out like some sort of transformation mechanic for like that type of ego, or through distortion or any other sort of transformation your character might have, and have, you know, a customizable transformation. But that requires a lot of finagling to make it different enough to feel like a transformation while still keeping it, you know, customizable.
내가 공격되는 애장
이 정도 이벤트는 보여줘.
특별히 보여줄게.
숨겨둔 수를 드러낸 모양이구나.
불에 더 키워.
Boom, boom. Boom. Get bled to death. I didn't even see him actually die. He does die in Mirror Dungeon, right? Didn't see him explode. Weird. Also, relics. Yeah. Relics could be an interesting thing to figure out, but that might be more of a plot-related thing. Would be better. Ooh, you wanna grab that horn?
제가 누구 딸인데 이런 걸 못하겠어요.
뒷박질 시간.
I very much have to make the distinction between what should be its own mechanic and what should just be able to be lumped in with other mechanics. Because when I made the system, I made it very specifically so that you did not have to figure out how each individual thing in the lore works, but rather figure out a system with which you can make anything found within the lore. So, while some things definitely want to be their own system and their own way of doing things, like, you know, ego was the main thing, some things just do not have enough of their own distinct identity and are too, like, customizable and stuff, so they can't really be considered the same way. I don't want to just make something for the sake of having it. I want it to contribute something to the system as a whole and the gameplay of it.
의식 불명. 좋아, 한 줄 지워주지.
한 쌍의 상황 볼과 24개의 눈물이 차는 이 정도 이벤트는 보여줘야지.
자, 테디, 나를 따라해보는 거야. 짜잔!
옳다.
정신 차리게. 장부에 따르면 맨정신에 죽여야 하니까.
술적이네요. 한 놈의 죽음으로 끝내기엔 죄가 너무 크군.
불에 더 키워.
벌벌 떨고 있는 나머지 녀석들도 처형한다.
이거 공감 맞지? 야! 필살! 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램!
Oh, I see. I do not need that alarm anymore. I should turn that off. Woo. Goodbye, unneeded alarm. Don't need. What did I even have you play? Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Anyway, fun managements aside, on to the next floor. We're doing pretty well. I think we can do. Oh, this is not the next floor. This is the next part of this floor, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. We're not quite on there yet. Everything kind of blends together in Mirror Dungeon eventually. Play it long enough, you have no idea what's going on.
72조 사망 디행 사약. 미확인된 강화 시술로 중지를 위협했으니 죽을 때까지 참아줘야 할 거다.
어디에서도 볼 수 없을 색채로.
한 쌍의 상황골과 24개의 늑골이 자아내는 티비아의 멜로디가
차포잡이라. 예상한 것보다 움직임이 더 좋구나.
거창을 새겨주지. 좋아. 이번에는 제대로 들어가. 새겨주지. 그래.
임파스터.
딱 반쯤 죽여버려.
엄마만큼은
Let's
못
go.
참아.
쌍조 이항에 맞추면
나도
그게
여기는 살수
태격이지.
있거든.
Right.
재밌겠는데?
내렵다. 정렬. 원색적으로.
검을 휘두를 줄
Alright.
아는 분은 많다.
내가
검은
본드력
길이
때문에
있는
내장.
Wonder if we can.
마음에 보여줄게.
I actually know we can find Ricardo because I know you can actually search for those packs now. So I might try and search for the Ricardo pack to end this off once I hit what, floor 11? Is that where it will show up? So
의식불명. 좋아.
see if we can end this with a fittingly climactic fight.
한줄 긋지.
Might as well have a bit of a discussion. The new Ryoshu capstone. I talked about it a little before, but I'm interested in the mechanics. I don't know if she'll be like Lord Liu in the Heisho, where she has very specific interactions between each of the different units and benefits, or if she's just going to benefit from just the presence of the Nurse Fathers alone and just be based on the tags. We'll see. So interested in that. Opinion on Rufo the character, just because people seeing her and saying Awuga. I mean, there's really not much to have an opinion on her. She shows up, she insults Callisto, talks about art with Ryoshu, and dies. She seems neat, she fulfills her purpose. And honestly, I don't even think that part of her is so all that hot, just because it legitimately does look like a proportioning error and not like any sort of actual fan service. It contributes nothing to her attractiveness. She's attractive without the giant bazongas.
쌍조 이항에
예상한
맞추면
것보다
그게
움직임이
태격이지.
좋구나.
좋아. 이번에는 제대로 들어가.
Funnier answer, her thing's big thingin'.
한 번에 죽어야 한다고.
임파스터.
엄마만큼은 못
웃기는
하지만
자식.
그래.
지금 나무라도 여기 좀 맞나?
거창을 새겨주지.
옳다.
거창을 새겨주지.
Woo! Smack him. Smack him good.
의식불명. 좋아. 한줄 일어나. 아직 11번에 죽어야
Boom,
한다고.
boom, boom.
아픕니다 난. 슬슬 지루하니까 빨리 끝나버리면 좋겠다.
Back to the Ryoshu capstone. Her sort of after image effects and being able to redirect damage to other House of Spiders ID gonna be very interesting. She's very much, I believe, going to want the other members to die rather than stay alive, so she can then just wreck house. And I'm interested to see how that changes the playstyle. Oh, hello. Have I seen you before? I know this one existed. I knew it got added, and the art looked sick. I love their designs. Old Faith and Promise grew up. But anyway, I don't think I actually want the item. Boom. 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 Very much want that at this point. Want to make sure I have enough to ego spam. Don't need you. No gambling. Sorry. I am coward. Blah, blah. You very much need more envy. Do not want to have to spam encounters. You do not really matter, because my highest deployed is not going to be Flash. You... Boom. That's helpful. A little extra bonus. Full bonus on our brown guys. Cool. Do I have enough to fuse blade? Find like a tier 2 or something. Oh, it actually kind of wants. Not really. Oh. Actually, that could be useful. You, I don't need. Oh, that's still not even enough. This. Alright, there we go. Nice, there we go. Cool, and that's not upgradable, right? Yeah. Now let's get you so I can have good tremor when I need it. Painkillers also could be pretty useful as we're taking more damage. Hello!
당장 집행해주지.
하, 웃기는 자식들. 끝나고 나서 고래구이 파티를 열어주겠다고 하니 의욕이 좀 났나?
Anything I can do to make this better? You don't really have much. Yeah, no. Just send it. Hope things go well. Ooh, no. Not a good start. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Need a snack. I want to maybe grab some pretzels while I wait for the next combat animations to play.
장부에 적힌 놈들은 볼 때마다 기가 막혀.
Alright, don't die.
승지가
I'll be right back.
감독처럼 이해할 수 없는 걸 요구하는 것도 아닌데 말이지.
이거 건강 맞지? 야! 필살! 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램!
좋아. 거기서 이렇게 박살 내버리는 거다.
켜보시죠. 거탄을 새겨주지. 거탄을 새겨주지.
무용하군.
자로요. 보면 아는 것을 상기시키는 연유가 무엇인가?
옳다.
나가봐라.
임파스터.
예술적.
자가당차기로다. 흔치 않은 기회니 이 틈에 승기를 붙이자꾸나.
Okay, sweet. Got some punches. All the middle tier 4 gifts yet? Nope. Not in the slightest.
차 부숴줄 테다. 정지. 벗어날 수 없다.
Hate enemies that just directly counter statuses or certain playstyles. I understand that, but I think it's important for the game to have these challenges and these roadblocks and things you have to consider. Having to adapt is definitely a good thing, and you know where it can show up, you know how to avoid it, and you know how to prepare if you really want to go for it.
거창해. 새겨주지.
Boom. No siree, don't want you. I don't think there's much from spring cultivation I want. I don't like any of these. You could be good. Nocturnal sweeping have anything I want? There's that. Didn't get that when I was in the main one. There's also... Yeah, I think I want nocturnal sweeping. Spring cultivation was a great intervallo. Hey. Boom.
뭐야? 잘 됐군. 칭찬용 고양이 당장 집행해주지.
Okay.
72점
I'm going
사망
to the
뒤행
restaurant.
사야.
어디에서도
Fuck it.
볼수 없을
확인된 강화 시설로 경찰을 위협했으니 죽을 때까지 참아줘야 할 거다.
병력을 새로이 구성해야 하나.
불가피하다면 수식을 세우는 것이 작품이다.
필살 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램.
털만한 것들. 마지막으로 나오길만.
저희를 헤아릴 수 없다면 그 용도를 고민하는 것이 상책이지.
그러니까.
재밌겠는데?
옳다.
장부에서 삭제.
Yeah.
차대. 새겨주지.
In terms of
새겨주지.
family hierarchy candidates, I did really only want Zweipan.
털만한 것들.
The others I'm fine with not getting, but yeah, the Heisho overwhelming focus of the last season was not great.
큰 흐름을 뒤집은 건 아니나 좋은 움직임이군요.
Especially considering we didn't get that many branches.
거탄을 새겨주지. 거탄을 새겨주지.
그래, 딱 반쯤 죽여버려. 13조 2항에 맞추려면 그게 대결이야.
이거 금강 맞지? 야! 필살! 발렛 브레이크 슬램!
차포잡이라
이거 금강 맞지?
예상한 것보다 움직임이 더 좋겠다.
필살! 발렛 브레이크 슬램!
Boys capstone idea in my burn season. Yeah, burn season was always going to be a little weird.
한 놈의 죽음으로 끝내기엔 죄가
Ryoshu's ID definitely will have burn,
벌벌 떨고 있는 나머지
but
녀석들
it is true that it might feel a bit more poise focused.
노래 더 키워.
좋아. 이번에는 제대로 들어가.
되겠냐고요.
난
One burn.
새겨주지.
Yeah, the little bit of burn on the Nurse Fathers are a little weird. I do hope they come into play for more than just being there to justify burn season. I hope they have a mechanical function when
더 어려운 건 없나?
they all come together. Is the Finger House Spider season not burn? That is a nothing burger argument. Of course, it's a finger season. Every season has, you know, a lot of members of the opposing faction. That's a pretty useless statement. But it is very much burn season. That's why 3 of the 4 Battle Pass egos are burn. That's why every Nurse Father has the burn tacked on. That's why Ricardo has burn for some reason. It is very much burn season. It's just burn season is a bit weird, because burn is a weird status to justify in a lot of IDs. Back unique fusions? Yeah. Bees. Yeah, there it is. So, I do want to try and grab that. Use gift. That was what? A tier... It's a tier 2. Okay. It is... Yeah, it is blunt. Boom. Boop. I'll just send it. Boom. Okay. And let's throw in something just... Oh, no, that thing. Oh, okay. Let's try this a little different. Let's focus on combining. Kinda useful. Like you. Using Recipe makes crazy. We got a bleed team and a counter team. We want the enemies to be able to hit us. It is very useful. Trust. Trust the process. Don't need you. There we go. Hmm. Cool. Oh, you're upgradable. Very useful. Ooh. Boom, boom. Okay. Cool. Guys, I think Sinclair is a sign. I don't know, I don't buy it. It's, you know, circumstantial evidence at best.
(72조) 사망 지행 사야. 미확인된 강화 시술로 중지를 위협했으니 죽을 때까지 참아줘야 할 거다.
차 부숴줄 테다.
어중간한 예술.
Why does Jacka sometimes speak like the most normal citizen of Pennsylvania? I don't know Pennsylvania stereotypes that well. Yeah, I'm not gonna say where in America I am, but I will say I am in the south of America. Not South America, but south of the United States. I'm United States South. That is all you will get from me regarding that. But very unoptimized MD run? Yes, it is. I'm just throwing shit at the wall. I didn't even know if I was going to commit to a longer run or not when I started this, so. I'm not trying to go all the way to floor 15, I just want to get to Ricardo boss, ideally.
감상은 어떤가요?
Punch the shit.
외부의 파티를 열어주겠다고. 의욕이 좀 났나?
일어나.
Woo!
아직 11번은 죽어야 한다고.
큰 흐름을 뒤집은 건 아니나 좋은 움직임이로구나.
Boom! Let's go.
장난이 길었군. 난
Exploded.
그래, 이 정도 이벤트는 보여줘야지.
Woo!
정보다도 풍사로 운명 속에 파묻힌 그대가 여기서 빛의 냉세. 우리 앞을 막는 증오.
No, I'm gonna change the text on screen just to explain that we're not really in the discussion right now. Discussion concluded. Wrapping up MD. Feel free to watch. Feel free to. Boom. There we go.
좋아, 장부에서 사.
Bam, bop. Okay.
좋아, 이번에는 제대로 들어가.
건강 맞지?
Bum, 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 bum.
아직 11번은 죽어야 한다고.
한 놈의 죽음을 끝내긴 죄가 나오고.
재밌겠는데?
저기 벌벌 떨고 있는 나머지 녀석들도 처형한다.
이거 건강 맞지? 필살! 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램!
번은 죽어야 한다고.
Any predictions for the capstone ID? We've already been told a good bit about its kit. I expect it to be decently synergistic with all the different fingers. They're not like fully synergistic. I expect it to be very powerful and get some cool shit.
내가 왔다.
What's the most stupid nurse father? Ugh. I mean, it's probably gonna be Valentina. She is not a smart lady. Beating your children is generally a pretty stupid idea. Beating your children because you aren't cool enough, also incredibly stupid. Stupid in lore isn't? Yeah, I have no idea if it was meant to be in lore gameplay, but Rian, yeah, his rolls are bad, he just has high offense level. Yeah, that's kind of more for gameplay purposes, balancing. He's very much holding back in lore.
큰 흐름을 뒤집은 건 아니나
그래 더 키워.
좋은 움직임이로구나.
Oh, my goodness.
일어나. 이게 11번은 죽어야 한다고.
이거 공감 맞지?
Bam. Boom. Bam. Bop.
장난이 길었군. 전환.
I do really like Ricardo Heathcliff. I think he's pretty well designed. He's strong on his own, but more of a support unit. And I like it. Like he definitely can dish out some great damage on his own, but he feels very much like a team player. In some ways, maybe a little too much. I do think the middle is starting to get a little brain dead with how easy it is to get envy resonance. But overall, I think he, on an individual level, is pretty cool. Fuck it, let's take higher offense level. I think we've got decent power at this point. Okay, floor 10. I do kind of need this guy. Oh, but he's also in here, and this is an easier fight.
뜀박질 시간.
Cool. Let's see if we can get Ricardo. We're hunting him down.
숨겨둔 수를 드러낸 모양이구나.
Fuck you! I'm gonna lose clashes on purpose. That's totally what I'm doing. I'm not just deciding not to change skills even though I know it's vulnerable. Get hit. Okay. You know what? I want to change the way I'm taking in audio. Give me just a second.
웃기는 자. 끝나고 나서 고래구이 파티를 열어주겠다고 하니.
Right now I'm taking my whole desktop audio and I kind of want to change that. Application audio capture. Boop. Limbus company. Okay. Let's do it. Now, be very loud for you guys. Okay. And desktop audio down. Cool. So now it should be taking directly from Limbus Company rather than my desktop audio. Is a lot better for me. Now I can watch a YouTube video while I'm talking to you guys because I am getting bored. ADHD is a motherfucker, and we have exhausted our topics of conversation. Now you're just here if you want to watch Brain Dead Mirror Dungeon plays. Woo! This is great for viewer retention. This will have no impacts on my wider analytics. No siree. Huh. Alright. Boom ba dum ba dum boom ba dum boom boom.
한줄 지워주지.
그래, 딱 반쯤 죽여버려. 13조 2항에 맞추려. 그게 제격이지. 한방 제대로 먹었고.
좋아.
너희
한줄 지워주지.
God, middle animations are so satisfying.
특별히 보여줄게.
고작 이 정도로 쓰러지는 녀석은
다
없지.
키워.
중간 맞지?
어떤 뜻인지 보여줘야 하지 않겠냐?
Oh, hello. I think I have both of your gifts. Oh, I can't pass that. Chosen the other one.
흑수의 시간을 허비했나?
당장 집행해주지.
Alright. We're getting very close to floor 11 now.
(72조) 사망 디행 4열. 미확인된 강화 시술로 중지를 위협했으니 죽을 때까지 참아줘야 할 거다.
No. No. Just evade there and send it. This will totally never go wrong. Oh boy. Maybe I shouldn't have taken so many offense level things. What do you mean that'll make it harder to clash? It's crazy.
바이올렛 브레이크 슬램.
옳다.
Going back to sleep? Yeah, go back to sleep. Your health is important, and this is just a filler stream at this point, so. Good night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite.
끝나고 나서 고래구이 파티를 열어주겠다고 하니 의욕이 좀 났나?
재밌겠는데?
이거 공각 맞지? 야! 필살! 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램!
차포자야. 예상한 것보다 움직임이 더 좋고.
좋아, 전번에는 제대로 들어가.
일어나. 아직 11번은 죽어야 한다고.
제가
Hello, Roland.
거탑을 이겨주지.
그래, 이 정도 이벤트는 보여줘야지.
Time for ego spam.
노래 더 키워.
I should have just countered there.
셔리. 꺼져라.
Boom. Oh my god. That counterattack just obliterates people.
원칙적으로
유효하군.
정의보다도 풍자요. 생명 속에 파묻힌 그대가 여기서 빛을 우리 앞을 막는 증오스러운 존재들에게 나와 그대의 힘을 합쳐 위대한 사랑의 힘을 보여줄 것을! 아르카나 슬레이머!
Dum dum. All right. One person watching. Whoever you are, good on you.
반드시 밀려올 테니.
Yeah, I should probably end stream, but I'm gonna get to Ricardo first. Fuck it. I'll beat Ricardo and then stream's over. Hopefully I can actually like search for Ricardo and it's not like I have to get him first before I can seek it. That might be the case. Suppose we shall see. Wow. I don't. From this so that I have more fodder.
봤지? 내 터치가 살짝 들어간 것만으로도
서두르지 말고 느긋하고 여유롭게.
Punch them all to death. Woo!
(72조) 사망 디행 사야. 미확인된 강화 시술로 중지를 위협.
Boom, boom.
죽을 때까지 참아줘야 할 거다.
Ah, fuck it. Whatever. I don't care. Whatever we're doing, we're doing.
이거 분광
We're not doing anything else.
필살. 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램.
거탄을 세워주지. 거탄을 세워주지.
옳다.
적군의 함정인가?
물려라. 내가
아니, 아직 수는 남았다.
그래.
절만한
딱
것들.
반쯤 죽여버려.
Woo. Okay.
이항에 맞추려면
And boom, and boom.
이거 분광 맞지? 필살.
I have no idea if I'm going to turn this, the discussion part of this live stream into a video. I think I might. I think I had some good points to bring up and stuff. Good discussion. It was a bit chaotic. I did stutter a bit too much, but
켜보시죠.
overall I think I did pretty well.
의식 불명.
차포잡이다.
한 줄 지워주지.
예상한 것보다 움직임이 더 좋구나.
반항하지 마.
I probably should have got that blunt gift from the latest Intervallo. Oh well.
실수 있지.
Finding thread.
저희를 헤아릴 수 없다면 그 용도를 고민하는 것이 상책이지. 재밌겠는데?
좋아. 이렇게 박살 내버리는 거다.
죽어야 한다고.
적의 날개를 꺾었구나.
얼얼하지?
의식 불명. 좋아. 한 줄 지워주지.
임파스터.
예술적이네요.
큰 흐름을
Imposto.
뒤집은 건 아니나. 좋은
That's what it sounds like she's saying. I have no idea if that's actually what it is.
노래 더 키워.
어중간한 예술. 물어뜯어 고칠 수밖에.
유효하군.
난 사양이다.
판도는 유리하나 교만하면 뒤집어지는 법.
그래서 어쩌라는 거지?
경계 되겠냐고요. 꼭 말로 해야 하나?
Wow. Okay. Cool. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Now, what will we be facing at the end? Whatever could it be? Okay, and you don't need you, but I would like you. Like you. Who would I like to replace for? Honestly, not much at this point. I feel like I've got a pretty good spread. What else do I need at this point? Lead tier 4. Oh! I like you. Was not expecting you, but I will take it. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Absolutely wonderful. Get a bunch of fragile. And I am dandy. Send them in.
서두르지 말고
And there we go.
느긋하게.
Oh, fuck. Fuck.
숨겨둔 술을 드러내.
I actually would like to have some, I would actually like to have some ad revenue, even if it's not a lot. Oh. Okay, well, no one's watching anyway, so I'm not going to worry about whether or not the viewing quality is all that great when it comes to muted music, so if you are sticking around, sorry, but even if it's not a lot, I would like something from this live stream.
바이올렛 브레이크 슬램.
유효하군.
의식불명.
Bam! We can experience the great sound effects.
상골과 24개의 늑골이차 안에는 TDR의
Fantastic.
멜로디가.
방금의 공격 혹신 그 자체였다.
얼마만큼은
웃기는
못하지만
자식들.
나도 녹음해서
끝나고 나서
갈수
고래구이
있거든.
파티를 열어주겠다고 하니 의욕이 좀 났나?
Boom, boom, yeah. Let's go.
자, 테디, 나를 따라해 보는 거야. 짜잔.
그래.
Explode.
딱 반쯤 죽여버려.
Everyone gets to explode.
3조 2항의
You have no choice.
체격이지.
It is inevitable.
거탄을 새겨주지. 거탄을 새겨주지. 좋아. 이번에는 제대로 들어갔군.
Boom.
이거 분강 맞지?
Get blown up.
햇살. 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램.
한 놈의 죽음으로
Existence
끝내기.
revoked.
저기 벌벌 떨고 있는 나머지 녀석들도 처형한다.
Bonk. Yeah, that's pretty good damage. Wonderful.
거기서 지켜보시죠.
Boom, boom. 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 Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Bam!
임파스터.
이 안정감 있고 부드럽게 잡히는 푹신 최상이군.
Schmackdown.
이런 푹신한 날엔 안
유.
풀리는 일이 없지.
Boom.
차 부숴줄 테다.
Kill him Hexnail style.
자, 테디, 나를 따라해 보는 거야. 짜잔.
I didn't realize she had like a little cheering sound after her thing. That's great.
거기 있어.
Love to see it.
지켜보시죠.
See, this is why you play without music, so you can appreciate all the sound effects. Fantastic atmosphere. Absolutely peak viewing experience. I will hear no criticism from my 0 viewers.
필살. 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램.
예술적이네요.
판도는 유리하나 교만하면 뒤집어지는 법.
Let's go. Boom, boom,
어쩌라는
boom.
거지?
경계. 그걸 꼭 말로 해야 하나?
내가 봐줘.
Let's go. Let's get this bread.
자, 테디, 나를 따라해 보는 거야. 짜잔.
그 정도
옳다.
시끄러.
판도는 유리하나
Outstanding.
교만하면 뒤집어지는 법.
Touch him and he
그래서
dies.
어쩌라는 거지?
경계. 그걸 꼭 말로 해야 하나?
Now, we should be able to seek for the Ricardo pack? Boom. Boom. And I want any of these. I can take that. Oh, interesting. Got that. Oh, we do not have pack search, so we're gonna have to hope we find them. No. Uh-oh. Ah, damn. Okay. Well, we have another floor after this, so let's... This... Is that Li Hang? Guess we're fighting Li Hang. Oh, I can turn the music on. Config. Audio. Boom. Wow! We can hear again. Crazy. Okay. Lump. Boom. You.
제가 누구 딸인데 이런 걸 못하겠어요.
You. No. How much to do? No, actually. Actually, that's kind of useful because we have the blunt thing. Oh, boom. 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 What about fusion? Do I have what I need for... Yes, I do. Crazy. And I don't want that. I don't have enough burn units. Sweet! And... burn too far again? Why can I not remember? Find out. That's right, glimpse of flame. Wait, I might not want that. Shit. Oh well. Hopefully it works out. Okay. Let's go. Is this Li Hang or is it something else?
대갚아보죠.
Yep, okay.
이
Fantastic.
안정감 있고 부드럽게 잡히는 푹신. 최선. 이런 푹신한 날은 안 풀리는 일이 없지.
Just for the sake of it, you get you. Ooh, okay. That's bad. Okay, guess we're going full counter. That's fine. Oh, wait, what? Oh my god. Alright, something must not have calculated. That is way better than it said it would be.
거기서 지켜보시죠.
자, 테디, 나를 따라해 보는 거야. 짜잔.
Of course, the audio is going to be all sorts of weird.
유효하군.
Okay, yeah, he's doing a fair amount of damage, but thankfully we have defensive gifts to help heal up,
방금의 공격.
and he should get weaker as the fight goes on.
이거 공감
Violet Breaker Slam!
바이올렛 브레이크 슬램.
병력을 새로이 구성해야 하나.
말까봐 떠올 놈들은
불가피하다면
아닌가?
술책을 세우는 것이 자선이다.
장부에 적힌 놈들은 볼 때마다 기가 막혀.
이기면서 뵐 수 있거든.
우리 중지가
Boom!
검지처럼 엄격한 것, 검지처럼 이해할 수 없는 걸 요구하는 것도
That
아니지만
feels worthwhile.
재밌겠는데?
Oh no. Not great. Less than ideal.
목 떨어진다.
Ooh. Yeah, that's staggered.
적군의 함정인가?
밀려라. 내가
아니, 아직 세 남았다.
Anonymized.
이거 공감 맞지?
Slash, slash, slash. All sorts of slash.
브레이크 슬램.
옳다.
Take a huge chunk through the
이번에는
contract thing.
특별히 보여줄게.
Absolutely
이
fucking
정도로
helps.
쓰러지는 녀석은 없겠지. 중지를 공격한다는 게 어떤 뜻인지 보여줘야 하지 않겠냐?
I think. Oh, does he still apply counters even with this skill? I thought he had a thing that would say it didn't.
감상은
I
어떤가?
didn't see one though, so. Don't roll tails, motherfucker. Okay, thank you, Heathcliff.
차례 새겨주지. 호랑이를 잡으려고 그랬으면 누구도 잡아.
Hopefully.
했어야지.
Oh, that's still a lot of damage.
벌써부터 작품을 그냥 붙일 수가 없었는데.
That's still way more damage than I would
한
like.
번 제대로 먹었군. 너희 꽤 재밌는 상대를 만났어.
Now, I don't have full envy.
중지를 건드려 전부 새기고 기억한 뒤
Actually, seems
척결한다.
decent. That one go. Problem is, please, sinners, I need this. My clashing is a little bit hopeless.
재밌겠는데?
Boom. Okay, I think I have enough damage to kill him, even if I lose a few centers. Get fucked.
거기서 지켜보시죠.
And we go.
정의보다도 풍자로 생명 속에 파묻힌 그대 여기서 빛의 우리 앞을 막는 증오스러 나와 그대의 힘을 합쳐 위대한 아르카나스를
이거 건강 맞지?
All right. Okay, so they're all plus coin power. LT eyeball? Yes, please. Complete and total extermination! Here we fucking go. Alright, I'll fight this and then end stream. And maybe I'll continue on my own. I don't know.
뭐야? 잘 됐군.
I do kinda wanna get to
스티커
4.
하나를 붙여주지.
Ugh. I don't think I can do this, unfortunately. I want to skip it just so I can actually fight Ricardo, like I intended to. Might be Matthias, which would also be a good spot to end this off on, but unfortunately I do not want to take the risk. I would like a bleed gift, please. No? Okay. Oh, there are some good things here too. What's the meat temporizer do again? Flash power up. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then that's actually pretty decent because of the attack power up buff. I don't need you. Thank you. Cool. Cool.
당장 집행해주지.
Oh, I thought it was...
부드럽게 잡히는 푹신.
I thought it was Kanto 5, Ricardo.
이런
I didn't
푹신한
realize it was Kanto.
안 풀리는
It was the
일이야.
Intervallo one. Chance to corrode, we take that. No problem.
부숴줄 테다.
Oh my god. I did not realize they would roll so high.
나가봐라.
Woo!
자, 체리, 나를 따라해보는 거야. 짜잔!
Slice him up.
나참
Eat him
주먹질만
down.
한다고 능사가 아니야. 발길질도 섞어야지.
Okay. And that should debuff them thoroughly. It did, but not thoroughly enough.
엄지처럼 엄격한 거. 검지처럼 이해할 수 없는 걸 요구하는 것도 아닌 게 맞지.
God. What are... Flash.
자, 부숴줄 테다.
Hey. This is gonna be a bit harder than I thought. Honestly, might be better at this point if I swap out my non-middle guys and just double slot my middle.
조먼, 조명이 전멸하는 저곳.
Because we're not doing mass encounters anymore, so the extra skill slots
좋아.
will be filled pretty
이번엔 제대로
quickly.
들어가.
종원, 조명이
It's not like
전멸하는
I'm not built to take some hits.
모든 것을 쳐부술 거다.
차포전
볼만한 것들.
예상한 것보다 움직임이 더 좋구나. 판도는 유리하나 교만하면 뒤집어지는 거.
그래서 어떠라는 거지?
경계. 그걸 꼭 말로 해야 하나?
그래. 내가 왔다.
Boom.
내렵다. 정렬.
Slash him up
원색적.
with a blunt attack for some reason.
그래.
내가 공들여.
Do not know why they deal blunt damage.
특별히
기상쪽 이항에
보여줄게.
맞추려면 그게 제격이지. 한 놈의 죽음으로 끝내기엔 죄가 너무 크군. 저기 벌벌 떨고 있는 나머지 녀석들도 처형한다.
So that's what I want there. Hmm. 102. You know what? Let's cheat.
불에 더 키워.
Fuck you!
건강맞지? 야! 필살! 바이올렛 브레이크 슬램! 적군의 함정인가?
Bam, bam, bam.
털만.
아니, 아직
Complete and total extermination! And pop. I probably shouldn't be killing those guys, should I?
그 정도 각오로 우리 식구를.
Holy!
정보다도 풍사요. 생명 속에 파묻힌 그대. 여기서 빛의 우리 앞을 막는 증오스러운 나와 그대의 힘을 합쳐 위대한 아르카나 슬레이더!
Huh?
고작 이 정도로 쓰러지는 녀석은 없겠지. 중지를 공격한다는 게 어떤 뜻인지 보여줘야 하지 않겠냐?
Okay. That looks like it's good. Bonk, bonk. This is how much health does he have? 22,000. Thankfully, we are taking.
얼려라지.
Yeah, 22,000.
쓰러졌다고 죄의 대가를 치르지 않을 거라 생각했대. 오산이라 말해주고 싶어.
Boom. X now. Heal. Crystal Starter. Let's do that.
자, 부숴줄 테다.
나가봐라.
Boom! We're doing huge amounts of damage. Knock down.
누군가에게 저주받는 기분이 어떤 것인지.
Max now. Does damage, does debuffs, does everything we want it to.
내려주지.
거기서 지켜보시죠.
Bam!
차리게. 장부에 따르면 맨정신에 죽여야 하니까.
판도는 유리하나 교만하면 뒤집어지는 법.
그래서 어쩌라는 거지?
경계. 그걸 꼭 말로 해야 하나?
Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom.
그래. 내가 왔다.
Slice. Slice. Down. 3,000 damage. Nice. Just, you know, casual.
안녕히.
하품이다 난.
Bum,
슬슬 지루하니까 빨리 끝나버리는 거.
I love how this music is more iconic to Ricardo than his actual battle theme. His battle theme's like not iconic. It's just that this one is,
나의 폭력을 저지하기엔
you know, his entrance theme.
턱없이 모자르지.
Alright, let's wrap this up.
이 구속구가 나의 폭력을 저지하기엔
Kill this man. Kill this man.
턱없이 모자르지. 난
Alright. That is that. And this is this. Oh, yeah. Coin power +2. Offense level up. Attack power up. Protection. Unbreakable. Oh my god. That is crazy. I've heard the middle can go insane after a while. Move the stagger threshold for all enemies, triple the cost of every stop function. You know what? Sure. Manchaland, I think, only applies its ego gift to La Mancha. Is Fairy Tale also not a useful gift? Corp, whatever. Yeah, I don't like it. Bearers of Weight. That's the burn one, right? Could be useful. Hang on. I don't get to preview it. That is decent. I like that. Oh, yeah. Anyway, Ricardo's beaten. I'm ending stream. I'll finish this on my own time. Bye-bye!